The views and opinions expressed are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect that of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Commissioner's Corner, brought to you by the Virgin Islands Department of Education. I am your Commissioner, Dr. Dionne Wells-Hedrington, and it is always a pleasure to be here every Tuesday at 5:30 to update the community on what's happening in VIDE. At VIDE, we are public school proud. And so you can catch us on WTJX Facebook and YouTube pages, as well as VIDE's Facebook and YouTube page, and 93.1 FM. Before I introduce my guests for this afternoon, I have a few things that I want to highlight. I want to say special congratulations to John Woodson's Junior High School varsity volleyball champions. They were in St. Thomas and participated in Antilles School Junior Varsity Tournament, and they took everything back to St. Croix. So congratulations to John H. Woodson's Junior Varsity Volleyball team. I also want to say a big up congratulations to Ricardo Richards Elementary School for achieving the Blue Ribbon status. This is a big deal, and it is an award that is presented by the U.S. Department of Education for academic excellence and growth, not only in the regular population, but in the subgroups as special education students and English as a second language students. And so special congratulations goes out to the Strawberry Patch, where big things happen. And I have to say this, that VID is on the move, and many more schools will be included in Blue Ribbon status as we continue our efforts to close the achievement gap. And so kudos to all the Virgin Islands Department of Education employees who go above and beyond the call of duty to ensure that our children receive the best in everything, to include a quality educational experience. And so you know that you're as good as your team. And this afternoon, I have the privilege of having our Superintendent of St. Croix District, Dr. Gonzalez, is back in the house. But today we also have a new addition to the St. Croix leadership team, Miss Andrea Shillingford, our Deputy Superintendent. So, Miss Shillingford, good afternoon and welcome.
Thank you.
And how are you today?
I am doing well. Excited to be here.
All right. How has it been since you started your work in the St. Croix District?
It has been a time. We've had some really great things happening at the schools as we walk through the different classrooms, just being able to see some of the amazing instruction that is happening across the board. And for me, I've been doing a lot of listening, a lot of asking questions, because you cannot lead without learning. So I've been doing a lot of listening to learn, figure out where we have some challenges and where we could improve, and then the things that are working well, just highlighting those and giving kudos where is deserved.
Awesome, and welcome. We really appreciate you being a part of the team. I have to say this to the community. When we put out the feelers for qualified applicants for the superintendent position and the deputy superintendent position, I was impressed with your resume, and I was impressed because of your extensive background in special education. And I had known that that's an area where we struggle. I feel like we could do so much more for that population, and that we are seeing our numbers rise. So there's definitely a need for us to buckle down on the services that we are providing to our special people to ensure that they too have a good educational experience. How has that been for you?
It has been a learning process, just adjusting to see where we're at and where we can grow. The thing with special education is not just tailored to a particular group. I really am just trying to focus on pushing co-teaching, on pushing differentiation and evidence-based interventions for all students. We have students who were home for a long time and missed quality instruction because of COVID. And for that reason, they have gaps in academics. So being able to share those strategies with general ed as well as special education teachers, I think we would be able to close those achievement gaps across the board. So walking into some of the classrooms, I see where there's a need for more co-teaching and more differentiation, professional developments, as well as some more evidence-based strategies across the board. And like you said, with Ricardo Richards being able to, being awarded that prestigious award of the Blue Ribbon is just one of those things where it's like, pride for the school and the community, so that we can all aim to be able to push to achieve excellence and close achievement gaps, whether a student is ESL or a student is had identified disability and has an IEP.
Yes, very, very well. And one of the benefits community to these two ladies is they speak Spanish. You know, that's one of my desires one day is to be fluent in Spanish.
We're going to teach you.
And you know, I can understand it. And I think there's a level of fear in responding because it is not my native language.
Right.
And so when that happens to me, I start to reflect on how our students feel in English environments. And so the hesitation is probably there for them as well. So Dr. Gonzalez, when I interviewed you, I knew, okay, ESL is also a subgroup that we really need to hone in on. And that has been your expertise.
Right.
And so this lady invited me on the Spanish radio station. And I don't know what she intends for me to do on that radio station except listen to her speak Spanish. But, you know, I really feel that we have a good team. And I want to say thank you to Dr. Bastion Knight. Dr. Bastion Knight has flown this whole job alone for a period of time.
Right.
And you know, as acting superintendent, as deputy superintendent, as spending the federal dollar. So I know personally that Dr. Bastion welcomes the team, because a team approach helps you to level off the assignments so that you could really hone in on certain things. So you are not a newbie anymore because you've been on my station. How are things going for you as superintendent?
Well, there's a lot of great things going on in the schools. Just like Deputy Shillingford said, the first few weeks that I was here, it was just for me to learn. I say that I was doing some research. So this was the time that I was meeting with different groups in the department and meeting one-on-one with people in the department just to figure out their roles and responsibilities and how I can support whatever it is they're doing. And so I'm also on campuses, in classrooms, and there's a lot of great things going on. Today I was in a kindergarten classroom and they were learning greater than, less than. And so a lot of our infrastructure issues have taken me away more than I would like being on campuses. But today it was a refresher, just going in there and seeing the little kindergartners doing what they do. And of course, you know, they're so loving. They always want to give the the newbies to the classroom hugs. And so it was a really great experience. And also, this is between mid-September and mid-October is Hispanic Heritage Month. And so there's a lot of great celebrations going on campus. In fact, Deputy Shillingford and I on Friday will be going to a campus so we can celebrate with them. But when I was on campuses today, I saw lots of things that are celebrating Hispanic culture. And so there's a lot of great things going on right now.
And this afternoon, I had the opportunity to visit Eulalie Rivera Grove School. And the purpose of me being there was to support the principal on a walkthrough with the PTA. executive board. And I have to say that it was very refreshing. It was refreshing to hear a group of parents commit to working in partnership with the department for the overall positive outcome for their specific children and the children of that particular campus.
Right.
And so we address concerns because we never shy away from the fact that we have infrastructure challenges. There's no way that we could shy away from that. But I was able to introduce Executive Director Benjamin. Part of his team was there. Mr. Milligan was there. Mr. Garcia was there. And so when they fielded those questions relative to infrastructure, we were able to give them updates. And one of the things that I encourage leadership to do is understand that you can't do it alone.
Yes.
I can't do it alone.
We have to work together.
We are as good as our team. And so building our people up and looking for those strengths within your staff and maximizing on that strength is a positive way to get your leadership team to thrive in whatever it is that you do. But I just love the fact that I don't have to worry too much about St. Croix leadership anymore. It is sound. It is going to work. We got too much work to do.
It's true.
To be caught up in anything else. And so I was telling the ladies, this man here is going to take all the infrastructure challenges off of my table, and I get to do what I love, which is teaching and learning. And so, talk a little bit more about the good things that you guys have been seeing. You touched a little bit on what you observed. Is there anything that stood out for you that in your visits at schools that you would say, you know what, we need to videotape this teacher and add it to our bank of professionals who know how to differentiate, who know how to engage our students? Anything like that so far?
Yes. I actually had an opportunity to observe a teacher at John H. Woodson, and she was amazing. She had close reading strategies, ESL strategies, special education strategies, all embedded in her lesson.
Nice.
So all of her students were following along so well that it wasn't until a student responded and asked if he could respond in English or Spanish that I could figure out which learner was which, because the lesson was so well planned out that it actually met the needs of our students. She had visuals, she addressed behaviors promptly, just offered just a world of strategy. So you could tell her she put in that legwork and that time into her planning because it reflected beautifully in her lesson.
So when we talk about one size does not fit all, and teachers realizing that you have multiple types of learning needs within your classroom, and it's important that you know each student independently and how they learn. And so differentiation across the territory has to be a priority. But one of the things that students mentioned to me in my student council meetings last year was, Dr. Hedrington, some of these classrooms boring. And I said, well, what do you mean? Like, no engagement, Dr. Hedrington. What are you going to do about that? And so student engagement is a priority for me. So when I go into a room, I'm looking to see how that teacher is interacting with the students. And it's not an I got you moment for me. It's like, how can I help this teacher to be more effective in meeting the needs of the children? So how was engagement, though? Were the students excited?
The students were excited, and what she did so well was that she applied the learning to things that they could relate to readily. So it wasn't you're teaching history, but now you're tying it into what exactly is happening right now in the Virgin Islands. She had an apple, and then she brought in the guava. It was just really interesting how, and one of her strategies was, if you can relate to this, then circle, like it was a close reading strategy, like circle, link these two together. So it made the readers actively engage with the content. So student engagement was beautiful. The strategies were perfect for the type of learners that she had. And I'm big on making sure that when I walk into a class, I'm like, if I'm bored, the student's bored too. So, and I always tell teachers, like, ask for support because that's what we are here for. And like Dr. Gonzalez said, we plan on spending a lot of time into the classrooms and speaking with teachers. Some of the newer teachers need a little bit more support. So I've been meeting with curriculum and instruction team. We met twice today with 2 different areas on how we could provide some more professional development, classroom management, engagement that is relative, that is something that students could relate to, because some of our teachers from the Philippines are also learning our culture. So how can you engage these students? How do our learners learn here in the Caribbean? And we've had discussions about that and trying to just figure out now time that we could provide those specialized trainings that are tailored to student engagement for the schools.
And one of the things I said to Principal Moorhead today at Eulalie is a principal has to be able to think outside the box. It's not going to be a one size fits all. You're going to have to be creative in how you engage your parents, but don't be afraid to step out. And that's part of the ownership that we have put into place by laying the foundation with the school improvement plans, having them look at their own independent data and make informed decisions about how are you going to close this achievement gap? What have you decided that you are going to achieve for this school year? So now that we have that in place, I feel like our house it's going to be built well.
Yes,
and just empowering our principals to lead and lead with conviction and confidence. Knowing that this team, your team, is here to support you. And so in your observations, Dr. Gonzalez, Deputy Shillingford mentioned differentiation and student engagement, which have been topics on the table forever, because I've been in education 31 years, and I think I've heard those same words from the day I stepped into the classroom. And so we know that we are lifelong learners, and we know that we need that constant support, coaching, practice, support, coaching. Do you have anything in mind as the superintendent of how you're going to build the capacity of your teachers in being able to effectively differentiate and engage students? Because what I find is some of the veteran teachers who used to having full control of your classroom, asking that teacher to be a facilitator and have the students in full control of a classroom, it becomes a power struggle.
It does.
So talk about that.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind for me is just teachers building relationships with their kids. I think it starts with the relationship. And that is one thing I can say that Deputy Shillingford and I did see. We had the opportunity to walk with the Board of Education with walkthroughs. And so I think we saw a lot of really great things. But I think we can all agree that what we saw was just that teachers and the relationship that they had with the kids, you can tell that they were positive relationships because it lends itself to that engagement piece. Because when it came to answering the teachers' questions, kids were raising their hands. They weren't afraid to raise their hands, which shows that the teachers have created an environment in their classroom that kids feel comfortable to take risks in. And so I think as far as like building upon that engagement, that would be us working very closely with our coordinators, because we've got our content coordinators that are going in and actually coaching and working very closely with our teachers. So just keeping up with what they're doing so that we could follow up and make sure that implementation is taking place, and providing support for those teachers, and also the campus leadership, and making sure that everything that we feel and that they feel is going to work for their classroom is actually practiced in the classroom.
Very good. And so have you set any personal goals for yourself in terms of professionally, being that you're in a new role? What would you like to accomplish this year, Deputy Shillingford?
I would love to see more co-teaching in the inclusion classroom.
Can you explain that to the community who doesn't know what co-teaching is?
So co-teaching is 2 certified teachers, one with a background in the content, whether it's English, math, science, or just K through 8, whatever grade level, and a special education teacher. And those teachers planning together, formulating their lessons together in such a way that they are addressing the needs of all of the students. Not just let me pull my 5 group of students that have IEPs and work with those, but let's plan the lesson where we have a small groups, where we have flexible seating, where we're giving them breaks. Attention span nowadays is very short with TikToks and YouTube short. So being able to plan our lessons around what students actually need right now, and being able to see that when I walk into the classrooms. So the goal for me would be to offer more of those co-teaching trainings. And what I've been doing is just meeting with the special education supervisors. And the idea is to increase capacity amongst them so that when they go into the schools,
Absolutely.
now they can go ahead and provide those trainings as well. And then I could be an additional layer of support. So that is what we're working towards as a special education team. And then parent engagement. I think that a lot of our parents do not know what they don't know. Like, they just have so much information. So the Division of Special Education is going to be putting out a lot of information as far as when you get your report card, you should also get progress report on your IEP goals. You should also get progress reports on your related services goals. And this Saturday, the Division of Special Education is collaborating with the Children's Museum for the Worldwide Day of Play. So we'll have a table there. We'll be putting out information and just making it, just being able to get parents a little bit more engaged and feeling like they are a part of the school community. So just so that we could just put out information all around. So
And you said something very important. They are a part of that puzzle. Our success cannot happen without the engagement of parents,
Right. We have
and
to
the
work
community.
together.
And so I know, I mean, you may have your professional goals, which we'll touch right now on Dr. Gonzalez, but I've heard you say establishing partnerships, establishing partnerships. And I'm happy to say that there are some community individuals that have reached out to me with wonderful ideas, such as a concept called the village, which we are going to present to you all. And it involves community coming together to volunteer at schools, to tutor our children in one-on-one subject areas of expertise that they may have. Because our children, they can learn and they will learn.
Right.
And it may require more intensive intervention that our personnel can't do alone. And so I was very excited about that.
It is
I
exciting.
can't wait for us to meet on Monday, just to talk about, on next week, Wednesday, just to talk about it, because that's what we need to see more of. The community stepping in and being a part of the solution to
Right.
the many things that we have going on. So we welcome partnerships. But
Right.
what is one of your goals for this school year?
Well, I've got several, but one of them was, like I said before, building relationships, and that was just what I've been doing in the past, just meeting with people one-on-one and establishing these working relationships. Another thing that comes to mind is just I want to improve how we approach social emotional learning, and that's not just for the students, but also for our staff members. Because when you think about our teachers and our administrators, they spend about a third or more of the day at school trying to make sure that our students have everything that they need. And so I think as leaders, our job is to make sure that their social and emotional needs are met too, so that coming to work is a happy thing, that they don't dread coming to work. And then I think about too, our students, it's so important to make sure that we meet their social and emotional needs. I know we've had some challenges in the schools here lately with kids not really getting along, but I think it's our duty just to teach them to talk about their feelings and to talk things out, and not just necessarily go for a physical route to resolve some type of issue.
Yeah, conflict resolution needs to be a part of our work with our children. Providing alternate routes, meaning, our students come with baggage.
With a lot, yes.
And students have to deal with a lot of things at home. And sometimes, you said it, the Deputy Shillingford, listening. I've heard students say, Commissioner, you listen. And I say, yeah, of course. How am I going to know what your problem is if I don't listen? How can I help? What do you need? And, in last school year, with all the protests and stuff that went on at Complex and Central, I actually made some good connections with students. We still speak up to today. And anything that I can do as the commissioner to facilitate their learning experience, and I've said this to the staff and I'll say it to you, I don't feel that education is K through 12. I feel that our job continues after they graduate from high school. I want to know where you are. I want to know if you were successful in your endeavors. I'm tracking all my students that went to college through Clearinghouse website. And my PR director, Mr. Richardson, is tracking my students. If they're graduating with a bachelor's degree in science, let's offer them a job to come back home. If they're graduating
grow your own
with
program.
grow your own. So we have to be able to see our children beyond 12th grade, right? And make sure that we are creating those pathways that encourage them to come back and give back to
their
our
own
community.
communities.
I even had him track the amount of students that enrolled at University of the Virgin Islands because I want to know who they are. I want to know if they had to take remedial courses. I want to know what is their major. And I want to be able to track all 196 students that entered UVI this school year. And so we have to use the data to help our children. And so, I'm so excited to just push all the infrastructure onto the Bureau. Every platform I get on, I keep saying it, but I'm happy for the collaboration, but I'm thrilled that we all together have the opportunity to really focus in on teaching and learning. And community, just from the responses that were given by these two beautiful souls, we know that we made an excellent choice, and they are indeed additions that will help to drive the improvements that we want to see in the St. Croix District. So I know that the time is short, so you know what I mean. You're coming back. So one thing that you want to say to the community in 10 seconds, Deputy Shillingford.
My 10 seconds up. Yeah, it's hard. Let's work together to build capacity within our schools and our students.
Dr. Gonzalez.
I feel incredibly blessed to be in this position, and I'm looking forward to working with my team and having a positive and powerful impact in St. Croix.
And I just say thank you, God, for sending both of you my way.
Thank you.
Thank you to all the employees of the Department of Education, and thank you to our listening and viewing audience for your support and your commitment. We are public school proud, and you are going to see the Department of Education move to higher heights because we are all committed and we are in this game for the long haul. Our children matter, the Virgin Islands matters, and public education matters. Thank you, and see you next Tuesday at 5:30 right here on WTJX VIDE and 93.1 FM. Have a blessed evening.
The views and opinions expressed are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect that of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.